Hello and welcome to pmclounge.com. Today we are discussing the different types of organization structure. Organization structure basically tells you how a company or an organization is set up, who reports to whom. You as a project manager, what kind of power and authority are you going to have? So there are 8 different types that we are going to study today, and as a project manager, you should know all of them, especially if you are preparing for the PMP exam. Now, as always, if you are into reading articles, if you would rather read about this topic than watch a video, then first link in the description is going to take you to a relevant article on this topic over at our official website pmclounge.com. Now, this topic is the basics of project management. This is just the introduction and fundamentals of project management that you should know of. So second link in the description is going to contain all the videos. It is a playlist of all the basics, the introduction, the fundamentals that you should know of when it comes to project management. So 2 important links, check them out at any point in this video. Let's get started and go over all 8 organization structure types. First things first, like I said, how your organization is set up, that's what organization structure tells you. And every organization is set up in a certain way. So every organization is going to have an organization structure, whether they like it or not, whether they know it or not. The first one in the list is an organic organization. I'm sorry if this is a tongue twister for you, but this is where the organization might not even know the type of organization structure that they follow, because this is something that you are going to see in smaller companies. And this is also where project management is not even a full-time function. Now, when I say project management is not a full-time function, what I mean by that is that someone from the project team, let's say the engineering manager, the development manager, or even the quality manager, they are going to take up the additional responsibility of project management as well. And they are going to manage the project. Air quotes here. So they are going to manage the project. At least that's what they are going to think when they take up this additional responsibility. Now, some of the most important project management responsibilities, like let's say budget decisions, let's say coming up with the schedule for the project, these type of responsibilities might not even fall in the bucket of these folks who are acting as a project manager, because they are not really managing the project. They think that they are managing the project, but most of the decisions in smaller companies come from the top, the executive level itself. So in a way, the executives are seeing the project and taking the decisions that a project manager must be taking. Now, the second type of organization structure is known as a functional organization structure. What this means is the organization typically revolves around different functions. So there could be a quality function where you have quality team and a quality manager heading that quality team. You might have an engineering function where there's an engineering team or different engineering teams and respective engineering managers. So basically, all these teams work in separate silos, and each silo is going to report to its own functional manager. Like I said, the development silo or the development team is going to report to a development manager. The development manager is the functional manager here, because the organization is revolving around different functions. So when you have such different teams and you have folks from these teams working on your project, what are you as a project manager supposed to do? You are not really supposed to do much, because you do not have much authority or no authority in certain cases when it comes to functional organization, and you are only working as an expediter, which means there is a project schedule which is something that is given to you. You might have not even come up with the dates, come up with the milestones. This is something that the functional teams decided, the functional managers decided, and you were handed over the schedule for the project. Now you as a project manager or a project expediter, which is a correct word to define a project manager in such type of organizations, as a project expediter, your job is just to make sure that things are getting done on time. People or different teams, the project resources, the team resources, all of them are basically following the project schedule. That's all that you're supposed to do. You do not have authority over the project schedule. You do not have decision making authority over the schedule. You do not have decision making authority over resources. You do not have decision making authority over the budget or the cost of the project. All that you're doing is making sure that dates are met. If you're working in such a job, you are working in a functional organization. Most of the project managers' time in such organizations is spent in handling administrative tasks. This could mean compliance tasks. This could mean formalities, paperwork, stuff like that. So you as a project manager are more involved in such type of tasks rather than managing a project, right? So the functional manager is going to have total authority in this organization structure. A quick reminder, if you're looking for an introduction to project management class, head over to pmclounge.com/pm101. This is 1.5 hour totally free session, your gateway to the world of project management. Check it out. All right, let's talk about multi-divisional organization structure. By the name itself, you can make out that different divisions are involved when we are talking about this org structure. So these divisions, these different divisions are part of the same organization itself. So what's happening here is that you as a project manager, your job is not much different from the job that you had when you were working in a functional organization, but there is a possibility of performing some amount of coordination work as well. Because this is a multi-divisional organization structure, which means different divisions may have different ways of managing project. So what happens is you as a project manager could be hosting meetings, writing minutes of the meetings. You could be communicating project status even to higher management as well, right? You are basically a project coordinator here because you are coordinating within different teams in a certain division of the organization. Now, bigger decisions, important key decisions like budget or resource allocation, they are still a function of the functional manager. So you don't have any say in the budgets or the resources, but you have certain amount of coordination work in multi-divisional organization structure. But how it gets interesting is the fact that different divisions within the organization can offer a different opportunity of managing projects. So a project manager in a certain division might have no say in the project schedule, but within the same organization, the project manager in a different division could be 100% responsible for coming up with the project schedule. So that's how multi-divisional organizations work. And each divisions are going to have their own governance framework, compliances, management roles, and stuff like that. So each division is basically working as a different company. It is as good as that. So in one division, you could be a project expediter, but in another division, the project manager could be a project coordinator. In some other division, the project manager's role could be drastically different. So that is a multi-divisional organization structure for you. Matrix organizations are quite popular because many organizations actually fall in the category of matrix organization structure. Now, this is where the functional manager as well as the project manager share authority, and how they are going to do it, how they are going to achieve this balance, we are going to take a look at it in the coming slides. So stick around. But for now, you need to know that there are three types of matrix organizations. You've got the weak matrix, balanced matrix, and then strong matrix. So let's look at each one of them. Number one is weak matrix organization. So what happens here is that the functional manager has higher authority as compared to the project manager. Remember, we said that the functional manager and the project manager are going to share authority, but we never said that they are going to share it equally. And this is where weak matrix comes into the picture, where functional manager has higher authority as compared to the project manager. Now, functional managers, they are responsible for resource related decisions, budget decisions. They are also going to approve all major project decisions. Now, you as a project manager, you will have some limited decision making, but you are still an expediter or a coordinator in the weak matrix organization setting. So you're still not there. You do have some say in the decision making of the project, but the upper hand is still with the functional manager. Okay, let's talk about the balanced matrix organization. And this is where the equal division of power and authority between the functional manager and the project manager takes place. So all the project team members are basically going to have two bosses, as if one wasn't bad enough. So now, how does this division of power is achieved between the project manager and the functional manager? This is done by making sure that whenever there is a people management related decision, it is approved by the functional manager. So if there is a people management related decision that the project manager needs to take, the functional manager should approve it. Only if the functional manager approves it, that decision can be implemented. Similarly, if there is any project related decision that needs to be taken, the functional manager needs to walk that decision through the project manager, and only once the project manager approves it, that is implemented. So that's the difference between the balanced matrix organization and other types of organizations. This is where both the project managers and the functional managers share equal authority and they work in tandem. Okay, next is the strong matrix organization structure. And as you might have guessed it by now, this is where the project manager has higher authority as compared to the functional manager. Now, the team members, the project team members, they are still reporting to two bosses. So the system that we established in the balanced matrix organization structure, it still holds in the strong matrix organization structure as well. But the key difference here is the fact that the delivery of the project is the most important thing in the strong matrix organization. And it makes sense, right? If the project is the most important thing, then obviously the project manager will have higher power and higher authority as compared to the functional manager. So for a project team member, the first priority is going to be the project and not their respective functional responsibilities. So one other thing to note here is the performance assessment, right? This could be your yearly appraisal, your annual appraisal. This is not just based on the functional expertise, but also how a team resource performed in the project as well. So project performance is also considered, not just functional expertise. And when the project performance is considered, obviously project manager has a say in such a scenario, in such an assessment. So the project manager has significant say in the annual appraisals of the team resources. Next is projectized organization structure, also known as project-oriented organization structure. A key difference in such an organization structure is the fact that there are no functional teams. So if you need 4 developers, there is no development manager that you can go to and ask for 4 developers. What you need to do is either hire those 4 developers just for your project or look into the pool of team resources available in your organization and look for 4 developers that you basically need for your project. So what it means is the teams are organized around projects, and we know that projects are temporary endeavors, which means the projects are going to complete one day, and once the project is over, the team resources will have no home, which means they might go back to the pool of developers or the pool of team resources that an organization maintains. If the organization does not maintain any such pool and hires for each project, then obviously they will not have a job once the project is over. And that's how projectized organization work. Now, this is obvious that the most power in this organization structure is with the project manager. The project manager is also responsible for key project decisions like the project's budget, the schedule, quality, resources, and other such areas. So, of all the organization structures that we have studied so far, project oriented organization structure provides the most authority and the most power to a project manager. All right, now let's talk about virtual organization structure. This is where the virtual teams come into play, and we have been observing how the virtual teams are on the rise. All credit for it goes to the ever improving communication technologies. It has never been easier for people that are from different geographies, different departments within the organization, even external consultants, all of them can come together and deliver a project. They need not be physically present in the same location to be able to deliver the project, right? That is the beauty of virtual teams. Someone in the US can work with someone in Europe as well as in India, and they can deliver a project together. This was never possible when we did not have communication technologies like we do today. Now, project managers in such organization are often going to facilitate team communications because communications become very important here. So they are the project managers are the one who are going to facilitate communications. They may even have authority for key project management functions like project budget, resource allocation, project schedule, and other such areas. So virtual organization, this is an organization structure that you are going to see around if you kind of observe. Next is hybrid organization structure, and it totally is what it sounds like. So there are 2 things that we are trying to achieve with a hybrid organization structure. Number one is we are going to bring in best practices from different organization structures into one. So you like something about the virtual organization structure, but you also like something about the projectized organization structure. So you bring it together and you now have a hybrid organization structure. Now, the second thing that hybrid organization helps in achieving is the fact that organizations can have adaptive life cycles as well as predictive life cycles. Now, if you're wondering what are these 2 life cycles that we talk about, third link in the description will take you to a video where we cover different types of project life cycles. So check that out if you don't know what these life cycles are. But in hybrid organization, the organization can make sure that they can have both these life cycles work based on their project requirements. So predictive life cycle, what it does is it tends to rely more on management for a clear understanding of project scope, having project scope understood well in advance, having it baselined well in advanced, right, in the initial phase of the project itself. That is what predictive life cycle does. But adaptive life cycle, it focuses more on the self management within each team. Now, how is this possible? How are you going to do this where you have one project where you are following predictive life cycle and another project where you're following, let's say, the adaptive life cycle, right? So you do that only with the help of hybrid organization structure. Now, different teams, they are going to use different combination of practices. Some teams might take something from predictive life cycle and something else from adaptive life cycle. This is getting complex, I understand, but this is where hybrid organization comes into the picture, because you are combining different practices, and the way a project manager is supposed to function is going to be very, very different for each team. Something similar to multi-divisional organization structure, but like I said, we are bringing in best practices from different organization structures here. We are bringing in different life cycles, the type of life cycles here. We are getting into a territory that is much more complex than multi-divisional organization structure. The last one is the Project Management Office, or the PMO. We have a separate video on PMO because this is typically a separate topic as well. And when it comes under the organization structure, all that you need to understand is the fact that the PMO is basically a department, and it has full authority over every project within the organization. So a PMO might even assign a project manager to a project in the organization. A new project comes in, the PMO assigns new project manager to that project. The PMO might also be responsible for assigning the project team to the project, right? So that's how PMO might function. PMO again is basically a department. It is going to have different team resources. It can actually have a pool of project managers as well. The way PMO functions, although, is heavily dependent on how the organization decides to set up a PMO, because there are different types of PMO as well. Fourth link in the description will take you directly to the video where we talk about Project Management Office. So do check that out. Okay, so here's the question for this video. Which organization structure would you like to work in, and why? I am more interested in your answer for the why, your reasoning for it. So let me know in the comments. Definitely looking forward to your answers. So that's all that we had in this video. Smash that like button if you got value out of it. It helps us stay motivated and create more free content for you. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified whenever we upload new content. Also, don't forget to check out the website pmclounge.com, your number one free PMP resource. Thank you.